I'm going to skip this next question. College football, you got college football vacancies coming up. Well, not coming up. You got a lot of college football vacancies. A lot of coaches end up getting fired. Here's a list of schools that the vacancies open for the head coach at these schools. Arkansas, University of Arkansas, Colorado State, Florida, Kent State, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Penn State, Stanford, Virginia Tech, UAB, and UCLA. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. UAB stands for the University of Alabama, Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken. Shout out to the second coming. Appreciate you tapping in. What's up, my homeboy? You remember me? Man, I run into a lot of people, man. Matter of fact, the second come, I think, I remember that name. And we probably end up having a great conversation, if I'm not mistaken. But I appreciate you for tapping in, brother. Appreciate you for tapping in. If it was something negative prior to, then that's in the past. If you're here showing love and light, that's what's up. If we had a great conversation before, then yo, let's add on to another great conversation, my brother. You feel me? So appreciate you tapping in. Yeah, that one time about Drake and stuff about bless you, bro. Bless you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, the Drake conversation. Yes, the Drake conversation. Yes. Second coming. Yeah, so second coming is getting some shout outs and some love in the chat. Yes. So yes, now I remember. So y'all, head coaching vacancies, again, college football teams that's without a head coach. Arkansas, Colorado State, Florida, Kent State, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, Penn State, Stanford, Virginia Tech, UAB, and UCLA. Out of all these schools, and these are all great schools to coach at, that's low key for those who don't know. Doing music was something for me that I fell into. Come to find out I'm good at it, and I was able to make a living from it. Didn't think I would be in this position today where I could say I got 7 albums, I got several EPs, I'm working on the 8th album, and music is my foundation of life and living. Never thought I'd be able to say that. But my dream job or career was to become a college football coach. I know so much. I played football ever since I was a little kid, all the way from little league to college, right? So I know a lot about the game. So when I see these schools looking for a head coach, I'm like, damn, whoo, these schools would be great to coach at, me personally. And my personality would be great for this era, stage, NIL. You know, I could deal with the quick turnaround, having players leave and come and all that. Pause. But in my estimation, out of all these schools, the top 5 jobs out of all these schools, in my estimation, I'm going to give y'all my top 5, even though all these schools would be great to coach at. And I'm not saying this for me. I'm just saying it in general. I'm just saying this was like, yo, that's my dream job, is to become a football coach. You know what I'm saying? But where I'm needed and where I'm wanted is 2 different things. And I'm a big believer that you make your dreams happen, but I also believe that you are where you are for a reason. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you want to be somewhere, bro, that's not where you're called to be at. Your call is to be here. Yeah, you wasn't expecting this blessing, but you still got this blessing. You see what I'm saying? So, but my top 5 jobs on this list, from this list, number 5, the 5th best coaching job out of all the schools that I just mentioned is Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech has such a nice history. Frank Beamer had Virginia Tech turned all the way up. I remember Frank Beamer growing up. He had Virginia Tech turned all the way up. And once they got Michael Vick, it was like, yo, Virginia Tech became cool. The uniforms was fire. They got a great player. And if y'all never seen a young Michael Vick in college, oh my God, he was untouchable. He was untouchable. And then Michael Vick was so fast, he ran like a 4.4, 4.3. His running back, Lee Suggs, ran a 4.3. His two receivers, I believe his name is Emmett Johnson, and the other guy, I can't think of his name right now, but they both ran like 4.4. They was fast receivers, fast back, and you got a fast quarterback, and they was running speed option, triple option. They faking the option, and they throwing that ball down. I mean, it was a sight to behold with Michael Vick and that Virginia Tech crew. But Virginia Tech has such a nice history. That stadium is crazy. They have the crowd. They have the fan base. They're in the ACC. So to me, you get the right coach at Virginia Tech, that's an easy rebuild. An easy rebuild. Great uniforms, or great colors, I should say. But that's an easy rebuild in my estimation as far as Virginia Tech. Fourth best job on this list, in my estimation, based on this list again, Arkansas. Arkansas plays in the SEC. Again, great stadium, great atmosphere. They also have a good history, and they play in the SEC. SEC is the second best, the second best conference in college football. Again, in my estimation, the Big Ten is the rulers of college football. You can't tell me any different. The next national champion will be from the Big Ten this year. The last 2 years we dominated. This year will be no different. Big Ten is the best conference. But the SEC is still a pro-level conference. What I mean by that, when people judge the SEC talent, they like, yo, they could play in the league. So Arkansas is the fourth best job on this list. My third best job is UCLA. UCLA is in California. UCLA is premier California, upper echelon California. Mind you, they have pro teams there. They have a lot of teams there, matter of fact, where UCLA basketball is much higher than their football team. But they have the resources. They have the level to be a top level school who's also in the Big Ten. They have a really good quarterback. I think he has a lot of talent, a lot of ability. You see what the kid did with Tennessee a year prior. They've been playing well as of late. But UCLA, you could turn it up at UCLA. They play at the Rose Bowl. They have great colors. They fixed them uniforms up a little bit. They're sponsored and their brand Team Jordan on top of that. And it's in California. It's in a great place where football is football. They play bowl games at the Rose Bowl. So it's highly regarded. It's one of the best sites that you could ever go to. So again, easy and fast rebuild. Number two, best job on this list, in my opinion, I went with Florida. Florida's fire, man. Florida ain't nothing like seeing that sexy orange color helmets. That's sexy orange right there. That's a fly orange right there. Premier orange. Their uniforms is spectacular. Again, you play in the swamp. The crowd goes apeshit. Sponsored, Team Jordan, that brand, their uniforms, the energy, and the talent pool is Florida. The talent pool is Florida. You will have top 10 recruiting each and every year at bare minimum. So second is Florida in my estimation as far as the easiest rebuild. And the number one job on this list, again, to my estimation, Penn State. Penn State is a blue blood, storied franchise. Penn State matters. Play in the Big Ten. You already have a classic brand. Penn State brands itself. Penn State, I don't think people realize how big Penn State is. The campus is so big that there's different parts of the campus that's 45 minutes away from each other. 45 minutes away from each other, and it's a different campus, but it's the same school. So you can live on this part of the campus and have to drive 45 minutes to a class. That's crazy. The intrigue of Penn State playing in the Big Ten, playing against Michigan, playing against Ohio State, playing against Indiana, playing against UCLA, USC, Oregon. I mean, the list goes on and on. Penn State is a place you can't have college football without Penn State. Not an easy rebuild, but the most important rebuild. Because if you get Penn State to win a championship, that matters more. Penn State winning a national championship will matter more than winning at any of these other schools. Any of these other schools. And I love Florida. Love Florida. I've been to a couple of Florida games. It gets crazy in Florida. The Florida fans love Florida. You either love Florida, Florida State, or Miami. If you in the Central Florida area, you rock with Florida. If you in Southern Florida, you rock with Miami. If you in Northern Florida, you rock with Florida State. I'm just saying, that's just what it is. And then the dark horse of Florida is Central Florida. It's Central Florida. But at the end of the day, Penn State, most important job on this list. So again, my top 5 coaching vacancies right now. Number 5 was Virginia Tech. Number 4, Arkansas. Number 3, UCLA. Number 2, Florida. And number 1, Penn State. Shout out to Dakota in the building. Appreciate you for tapping in. Gators, big time, my guy. Go Gators. Dope Gators. I said it. Gators is big time. Gators is big time. Gators won national championships. Yes, that's a fact. Gators turn up. But they share the spotlight with several other schools in the state of Florida. Penn State don't. They don't share the spotlight with Pitt. They don't share the spotlight with Temple. They don't share the spotlight with Seton Hall. In Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia, it's all about Penn State. Penn State is here. Top tier in Pennsylvania. Top tier. Pitt is here. Temple is here. Seton Hall is in Jersey. But I forget the next Philly team in Pennsylvania. But in college football, it matters more. Like, in basketball, it matters more that the Knicks win the championship, even though we probably never see it. But it would matter more that the Knicks win the championship than OKC, than Indiana. See what I'm saying? So I love the Gators. I root for the Gators outside of my Michigan and Colorado. But they share the spotlight with those 2 other great story franchises. So, and I rock with the Gators. I'll be rocking Gator stuff too. Gator, more Heisman Trophy, Natty. What you're saying, facts. What you're saying is a fact. They have more national championships. They have more Heisman Trophy winners. Fact. Agreed. Check. But it matters more if you win at Penn State. It matters more. Certain schools in college football, it matters more. Notre Dame, Penn State, Nebraska, Michigan, Oklahoma, Texas. These are the type of schools who are upper echelon blue blood. And it matters more. Even though Alabama won a whole lot of championships not too long ago. But growing up as a kid, Alabama was always ass. Alabama was always ass. The first time I've ever seen Alabama be good in my life was probably the 3rd season with Nick Saban there. Mind you, Nick Saban was at Miami first, the Miami Dolphins, and struggled. That's why he ended up at Alabama. That's how he got all them kids to go to Alabama, because he just came from the Dolphins. He was like, yo, I know what the pros look like. If you want to play for the pros, you need to come to Alabama. But before he got to Alabama, he won the national title with LSU. LSU is a great place to go play college football, but it is not held in the same ilk. Before he got to LSU, Nick Saban was with Michigan State. It would have mattered more if he would have won at Michigan State than LSU or then Alabama. It matters more because these schools are blue bloods. So the fact that they won more national titles, the fact that they got more Heisman Trophy winners, I agree with you. That's a fact. This is not about who's the better program. It's about who's the most important program. See what I'm saying? So it's not who's better or who's been better. Because again, growing up, Alabama was always ass. Always. I'm 41 years old. They was always ass in the 90s. Always. Nobody was afraid of Alabama. Nobody. Alabama didn't become good until like the late 2000s. Always ass. Florida always had a lot of players that you wanted to see. But Florida was always hit or miss. They either had a good year or a bad year. And then when Urban Meyer came in, and Tim Tebow, because remember before that, they had Chris Leak, and Chris Leak was a hell of a fire player. But Tim Tebow helped them get over the hump, among with some of the other young talent that they had. You know, trust me, I know this stuff, man. And it seems like you know it too, brother. True, but remember Bear Bryant. No, you can't count Bear Bryant. That Bear Bryant, bro, that's the 60s. You can't say that you was dominant when you go from the 60s and have like damn near a 40-year hiatus. I respect Bear Bryant because he won 6 national titles. That's respect. That is definitely respect. But when you have a 40-year, that's been 40 years. He was in the 60s. They didn't start winning until the late 2000s. That's 40 years. So that's what I'm saying. It's not as important. You feel what I'm saying? So Alabama, they're a bit more important than Florida and the other schools that I mentioned. Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. Are they a blue blood? I would say so because of Bear Bryant. Yeah, I would say so. But is it more important? It's not. Notre Dame wins is important. That, like I said, I don't think I could have gave a better example than the Knicks. If the Knicks win the finals, it's important. It's important. But who's had a better franchise, the Knicks or the Thunder? In history, the Thunder. They've had better players and they have a better recent history. Hands down. But it's more important than with the Knicks. So, but I get some of the points that you made though, and I'm not disagreeing with that. Shout out to Cinco, no more EBT cards. So they probably the government probably based on the best program based off of what? No, see, y'all missing the point between being best program and most important. Most important and best is two different things. It's two different things. So, like again, I love the back and forth. I want the back and forth, right? But give me the back and forth based on my point, right? So, like even now, right? Even though the best teams in college football are Big Ten, SEC based, right? If you watch college football, I'm not saying y'all, I'm saying to everybody out there. If you watch college football, that's not even a debate. The upper echelon teams in college football, Big Ten, SEC. I'm not including the ACC in there because the ACC done fell off. The best conference after Big Ten, SEC, top to bottom, is the Big 12. Top to bottom. Because the Big 12, you don't know who the hell going to win week to week. And the ACC, you kind of know. And then in recent history, the Big 12 have dominated against the ACC in head-to-head matchups. That's not debatable. That's a fact. Y'all could go look it up. So the point that I'm making is this. Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, they're the most important team in college football. As far as, let me reword that. They're the most relevant team in college football. The most important teams are the Blue Bloods. The best teams are some of the Blue Bloods, and some of them are not, right? So, for example, the reason why Colorado is the most relevant team in college football is because you know their team. You know their players. You know who their first quarterback, second quarterback is. You know who their first, second, third, fourth running backs are. You know who their whole receiving. You know their whole offensive line. Most relevant. You know when players leave and players coming. Most relevant. They dominate the headlines. Coach Prime. It's Coach Prime, baby. Most relevant. Most important is some of the Blue Bloods. Most important is the Blue Bloods. That's hands down, because at certain places it matters more. Best, because of the NIL, it's tied into some of the Blue Bloods. Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. You know, they borderline Blue Blood to me because they was dominant more so in the 60s and then the late 2000s. But they haven't been. Do Alabama really strike fear in y'all? They're a good team, and I speak on them every episode, but they're a good team, but they don't strike fear in nobody anymore. No team in the SEC right now strikes fear in no team in the Big Ten. Not saying that they can't win. They don't strike fear. There was a point in time for like a 20-year run, the SEC stroke fear in everybody. I'm not even debating that. The fear level was just on a whole nother level. What? We got to play who? What? Nah. But now it's no fear, but you still have good teams. Ole Miss is a good team. Missouri's a good team. Vandy's a good team. LSU, depends what teams show up, but they still a solid team. Alabama's a really good team, but they don't strike fear in anybody. Florida has a whole lot of potential and talent, just very misplaced. Just very misplaced. Very misplaced. But y'all get the point that I'm making. So as far as important, which is the Blue Bloods, and because the NILs have made the Blue Bloods important again, is different from the most relevant and necessarily what we perceive to be the best, right? So, you feel what I'm saying? Indiana, they're probably one of the best teams in college football this year. One of the best. What would matter more? If Indiana won the national championship or Notre Dame wins the championship? Be Notre Dame. So y'all get my point. But y'all made some solid points too. I feel y'all, they had a 30-year gap at Bama. Yeah, that's a fact. That's, like I said, I didn't even know Bama was a place you could go and play real football until Nick Saban got there, because they was always ass. They was always ass. So, USC sanctions gave the rise to Oregon Ducks. Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Oregon, it's tricky. You gotta remember, Oregon, and we gotta be honest about this. Oregon is just a sexy place to go. It's not a blue blood. It's a sexy place to go, mainly because of the resources. Mainly because the damn owner of Nike was like, yo, we're gonna fix all this up. We're gonna give y'all the flyest uniforms, because let's be real. That's a part of some of the blue bloods' downfall, is that they never upkept and upgraded their uniforms, and they chose brands that didn't give a good uniform. A part of the reason why Michigan, we back up, because we got rid of Adidas and we got with Team Jordan. You see them uniforms looking oh so crazy. Oh so crazy. But Oregon is just a sexy place to go based on them damn uniforms, based on all the things that you would get access to playing with the Oregon Ducks. But they haven't won jack shit. Nothing. So they're a weird team, and their success is based on what it looks like, but they're not based on real substance because they haven't won anything. A shout out to Grasshopper in the building, Rasta in the building. Appreciate you for tapping in, my brother. Dark Horse. Shout out to nobody in the building. Welcome, everyone. Can please like. Appreciate you for that, my brother. Appreciate that. Jersey fire. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Oregon uniform, the helmets. Come on, it's next level. Always been next level. And that's where most colleges don't understand. Like even Kent State, right? Kent State is a great place to go coach. Their uniforms is, I don't know if y'all played the NCAA game, but their uniforms, they got more uniform combinations or just as much as Oregon in the game. Their uniforms is fire. Fire. If they built their stadium, they would get better recruits if they built their stadium up. But them uniforms is fire. Uniforms, you could get a fire team if you got sexy uniforms. Because players, we see ourselves in them uniforms. Or a former player, you can see yourself in them uniforms. Like, yo, I'll murder that right there. So again, that's a part of it. So yeah, I think those jobs are easy rebuild. Again, my top 5 for best head coaching vacancy right now in college football. Again, number 5, Virginia Tech. Number 4, Arkansas. Number 3, UCLA. Number 2, Florida. And number 1, Penn State. Appreciate EXO in the building. Hit them likes, hit the 100. Shout out to Castro in the building. Hit them likes, hit the 100s. Appreciate you for tapping in. Helps with the growth of the show, y'all. All right, y'all, moving on to our next hot topic.